Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Lee Ringma.
I'm Fritz.
And we are here in Australia, in New South Wales, in the Hunter Valley. And we have an Agnihotra centre where we make the Agnihotra kits here on site. According to Vedic prescription, we dry cow dung every day, to send out all over Australia for people's Agnihotra practice. As a service, because of course people can dry their own too, but many people in the cities, they find it quite helpful that we have that service. We also have a website where we talk about Homa Therapy, Agnihotra being the pivotal practice, and then there are other homas that supplement Agnihotra practice. One is Vyahruti Homa and one is Tryambakam Homa. We generally, worldwide, we focus on Agnihotra and teach that to everyone because that's the most important Homa for these times. Because Agnihotra, performed at sunrise and sunset, it attracts a vast flood of life-sustaining energies from the sun, including a massive flood of prana. And this enlivens the environment, the immediate environment, for 12 kilometers up and a kilometer diameter. It enlivens the environment with prana in a balanced, vital condition, and nourishes the environment with micronutrients. And this nourishment and prana in turn brings nature back into balance, and is also, Agnihotra is also a mechanism with this vast flood of life force to purify the environment of all kinds of pollution, including radioactivity. That's how powerful it is. People are very worried about EMF and Wi-Fi, and it has been demonstrated that it also neutralizes the distortion created by EMF. So we have a wonderful panacea in Agnihotra, and this is what we focus on. Now, as the environment gets more and more polluted and distorted, and not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, with all the stress that's going on the planet, then one may feel that one needs to add another Homa, namely Tryambakam Homa, to fortify the biosphere that you create. So when we do sunrise, sunset Agnihotra as regularly as possible, because sunrise Agnihotra brings in this flood of life-sustaining energies which lasts until sunset. And then we do sunset Agnihotra, which brings about a balance in the atmosphere, because normally at sunset, when the light departs, there is imbalance. There is more pathogenic bacteria, there's more stress as the light departs. But when we perform Agnihotra at sunset, we do the opposite. We create balance until sunrise. So sunrise and sunset work together to keep the biosphere of life-sustaining energies intact for your area. However, as more and more stress takes place on the planet, and for example, if you are a farmer and more pollutants with acid rain and chemtrails and all the stuff that falls on our land through the rain and is brought in through the wind, etc. EMF distortion is also a pollution and a stress and a strain on nature. Then we may feel we want to add another Homa. Also for our mental and emotional well-being and balance, for the balance of our mind and the clarity of our mind and the soothing of our emotional body. It's very, and also the help physically. It's wonderful to do Tryambakam Homa, even on a daily basis. So before our Agnihotra teacher left the body, his name was Shree and he was the preceptor of Homa Therapy. Homa Therapy, Agnihotra being the basis, and ash medicine used both for human beings, animals, and plants. And the other two main homas, Vyahruti and Tryambakam Homa, this constitutes Homa Therapy plus a bit more. So he is the modern day preceptor of Homa Therapy. So he took these ancient Vedic principles, these universal ancient Vedic principles, and gave them in a package deal to humanity so that we have a mechanism or a means to create a healthy, natural, balanced, uplifted life on a planet that is in the contrary. So this is a great great gift from this ancient Vedic knowledge, which is universal knowledge. So it's not, we don't share it as a Hindu practice, but as a universal Vedic practice available to all of humanity, whether you're a Christian, a Buddhist, a Muslim, an atheist, it doesn't matter. This is a tool that anyone can utilize to benefit their life. And in fact, it's just about necessary for survival, quality survival now in the conditions that we're living in. So also Tryambakam Homa, which we're going to mainly talk about tonight, is very healing for our mind and our emotional body. So if we're in stress, and Agnihotra happened 4 hours ago, you can't rely on Agnihotra to bring you back into harmony and balance, but you can perform Tryambakam Homa. And that is almost like having, it's very soothing, it's very healing for the emotional body and the mind. And if you are consumed with certain problems or stress or just out of sorts, when you sit down and perform Tryambakam Homa, say you commit for half an hour, you'll find after a half an hour, it just seems to have all dissolved and you have clarity and you feel much more at peace. This is a common experience. So Tryambakam is good for our personal well-being, but it's also good to fortify the biosphere that Agnihotra produces. So Agnihotra is the only Homa that can attract this large flood of prana, life force, and micronutrients into the environment. It's the only Homa that can do that. So you can't replace Agnihotra with another Homa, but you can add more heightened vibration and heightened nutritional content and fragrance to the atmosphere. You can fortify the atmosphere produced by Agnihotra by performing Tryambakam Homa as well. So for example, it's recommended on Homa organic farms where we utilize Agnihotra and this Tryambakam Homa, we utilize it for farming to inject the atmosphere with micronutrients, prana, and a heightened consciousness, a heightened vibration. We utilize that in Homa organic farming. We are a Homa farm. And so it's recommended that you do daily sunrise Agnihotra, sunset Agnihotra, and you do 4 hours Tryambakam a day. So this is feasible if you're a community, which I feel is where we're heading as a humanity, going back to village type living where we support each other. And as we understand it now in the West, we come together as communities, buy a big piece of land and several people have their own homes, and we come together to do Agnihotra, share a meal once a week, for example, and help to grow food. So a more wholesome kind of life than being isolated in cities. So if you are living in a situation where you have an extended family or you're a community, then it's easy to do this 4-hour Tryambakam daily recommendation. And even on full moons and no moons, it's recommended that we do 24 hours ceaseless Tryambakam Homa. And this is as a service to the atmosphere of the community that we live in. Because on full moons and no moons, there is It's more likely for distortion in the environment. People know about lunatics. Well, there's more intake in psychiatric hospitals on full moons. There's more nervous breakdowns. There's more panic attacks. There's more likely to get sick on a full moon. It's also stressful for the plant kingdom as well. So by adding Om Tryambakam Homa on a full moon or a new moon, because likewise new moons are also sensitive times where there's more likely to be distortion, more pathogenic bacteria coming into the environment, etc. So then you do Om Tryambakam to fortify the biosphere.
I'd like to add to that. So Lee talked about performing Agnihotra and doing Om Tryambakam on a Homa farm or a Homa center. So how that could translate in your personal life. If you have Agnihotra going sunrise and sunset, that's great. Even if you can just perform only sunrise or only sunset, that's great. Whenever you can perform Agnihotra, that has a fantastic benefit. If you want to do this Om Tryambakam, you do not have to do several hours a day. You can just do whatever you can. If you can do 15 minutes, you have that great benefit. If you do half an hour or an hour, or you share it with some other people, you have that great benefit. So don't be scared away by, you know, you need to do this many hours. We'll show you a video which was taken here on the farm, and we used this Vyahruti and this Om Tryambakam. You'll see it being performed there for Homa farming, but that is just one aspect. We can use it for healing work, we can use it for healing the atmosphere. There's many
you can use it personally, like I said. For example, you're having a difficulty in your relationship, perhaps an argument. Then you can utilize Vyahruti to bring things back into harmony and back into balance between in the atmosphere and between you and your partner, for example. Or say the kids are particularly rowdy. You can use Vyahruti to bring the environment back into a peaceful state and to bring yourselves back into equilibrium and clarity. It's amazing. Solutions just come. So there's two homas that you need if you're going to perform Om Tryambakam Homa. You need to start with Vyahruti Homa. So Vyahruti is a bit like Agnihotra. By the way, they're all performed in the same size pyramid, the same gear, everything's the same. Cow dung, ghee. The only thing that's different is that we don't add rice as a swaha or offering into the fire in Vyahruti or Om Tryambakam Homa.
And the timing is not specific.
Yeah.
For Agnihotra you can only perform at sunrise and sunset. Vyahruti Om Tryambakam you do any time in the day or night, except for when, you know, this Agnihotra time, of course.
And Vyahruti can be performed in its own right, by itself, just like Agnihotra, a short mantra and waiting for the fire to go out. That's basically Agnihotra. It takes 10 minutes. Vyahruti also takes 10 minutes. Exactly the same build-up of cow dung in the pyramid, but a ghee offering and a different mantra. And the mantra's not very long. And there's 4 swahas in that mantra, so only the offering of ghee. So you set up your fire with cow dung, you make your offering with the mantra, and then you sit in silence while the fire is burning. And when the fire goes out, basically Vyahruti is finished. But you can sit for as long as you like, because the atmosphere has become harmonized and balanced and conducive to meditation. So it's a wonderful meditation tool as well. And you can use it for many purposes. You can start a project with Vyahruti. Start a planting session with Vyahruti out in the garden, or an art session, start with a Vyahruti, or a class, a meditation class, or even a school session, an art project, anything. You can start it with a Vyahruti, and that brings you into a centered, balanced place to perform your activity. And it's wonderful in classroom situations like yoga sessions or with a group of children, because immediately they become centered and they become inwardly still. And so it's a wonderful tool on that level for anything at all, not just for meditation, not just for spirituality, but for well-being and balance and harmony in everyday life. So Om Tryambakam Homa follows on from Vyahruti. So if you choose to do Om Tryambakam Homa, you need to start with Vyahruti Homa. That's why you need to learn both. So Vyahruti Homa is like Agnihotra. It's just a mantra with 4 swahas. That's it. And that's Vyahruti. And then Om Tryambakam Homa is ongoing. So you say the mantra over and over again, and you add ghee at the end of each mantra refrain. So we'll go into the YouTube, the video now, and show you. It only goes for 3 minutes, and then we'll talk further about it.
Yeah, we'll do the video, and then we can actually demonstrate live. We can do Vyahruti together with you, and we can do Om Tryambakam together, and we'll on the screen we'll show what the mantras look like, and you can sing along from wherever you are.
We'll also take you through some refinements of the mantras. But the mantras are on our website. There's a sound file, so you can learn that way.
Let's turn the volume up. In Homa Therapy, we use a copper pyramid of specific size and dimension. We use dried cow dung, and we use pure cow's ghee. Om Tryambakam Homa is preceded by Vyahruti Homa, which we will perform now. Bhu Swaha Agnihotra Bhuva Swaha Vyahruti Swaswaha Suryaya Mama Bhuva Swaswaha Prajapataye Mama. Om Tryambakam Yadamahe Sigandim Pushtivaranam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityur Muksiyamamritat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yadamahe Sigandim Pushtivaranam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityur Muksiyamamritat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yadamahe Sigandim Pushtivaranam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityur Muksiyamamritat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yadamahe Sigandim Pushtivaranam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityur Muksiyamamritat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yadamahe Sigandim Pushtivaranam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityur Muksiyamamritat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yadamahe Sigandim Pushtivaranam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityur Muksiyamamritat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yadamahe Sigandhim Pushtivaram.
Okay, so that was a demonstration of how to perform Vyahruti Homa and on Tryambakam Homa. Now, we need to edit that because there's a more ideal way of giving the offering in the Vyahruti. So we'll show you that here. What Fritz did on the video was he filled a spoon, a copper spoon with ghee, and then when he was saying the mantra, he said "Bu Swaha," drop of ghee from that spoon. "Bhuva Swaha," drop of ghee. "Swa Swaha," drop of ghee. "Suryaya Idana Mama Bhuva Swa Swaha," all the ghee. "Prajapataye Idana Mama." But actually, a better way of doing it would be to put together some ghee for your Vyahruti Homa and use this spoon, fill that spoon with ghee. And all the ghee on that spoon should go into the fire after the word Swaha, not on Swaha, but after Swaha. Because the principle is that whatever ghee you put on the spoon should all go into the fire. You shouldn't withhold ghee from the fire by putting just a drop from that spoon, if you understand what I'm saying. So it should be Bu Swaha, full spoon. Bu Swaha, Agnaye Idana Mama, Bhuva, another spoon. Swaha, Vyahruti Idana Mama, Swaha, Suryaya Idam Mama, Bhuva Swaha, all the ghee that you put aside, Bhuva Swaha, all of it. Prajapataye Idana Mama, because we allotted a certain amount of ghee for that homa. So all of that ghee should go in.
So better not to fill the whole jar with ghee because that's going to be a lot of ghee.
Yeah. So that's with when you're performing Vyahruti Homa only without on Tryambakam. But if you are performing Vyahruti Homa to initiate on Tryambakam, then you don't pour all the ghee in on the last Swaha. You just take a spoonful. And then you start with your on Tryambakam Homa. We'll open up to Q&A afterwards, after we've demonstrated this, so that any questions you have we'll be able to clarify. And we're happy to go over the time. There's no problem.
In the middle of this Vyahruti and Tryambakam, we'll stop and we'll do Agnihotra. Agnihotra is here in 27 minutes. So, but we'll start with Vyahruti, as you saw in the video. So what I've done is I've placed 4 pieces of cow dung in this pyramid, and I've allowed air pockets around these pieces. So I haven't put the pieces of cow dung flat amongst the sides of the pyramid, but I've put them diagonally across the corners. That allows air to go down into the pyramid. Then I have one piece here, a broken off fairly thin piece and a bit pointy, and that will be the starter piece. I'm going to light it now, and then when the fire catches on, we can do the Vyahruti. and then from there we can follow on with Tryambakam. Now, when you do Tryambakam, at some stage that cow dung will be finished burning, so you can just add pieces of cow dung to that fire. So you can keep it going for a couple of minutes, 5-10 minutes. You can keep it going for an hour or several hours if you want. It's just the same fire. All you do is add cow dung to it, and you do an offering of ghee at the end of the Tryambakam mantra, Swaha. But we'll start first with Vyahruti, and
you can also add more ghee in between the swahas. That if the fire is struggling, you can add ghee. You don't have to. You're not restricted to putting ghee on only after the swaha. So you can add more ghee anytime to keep the fire going. You can also rearrange the fire if it's not burning well to get airflow. You can't do this with Agnihotra. The moment after you say Swaha, if you rearrange anything or add anything, then you disturb the whole process. But Vyahruti is an ongoing Homa, so you can rearrange the cow dung while you're performing Vyahruti. You can add more ghee, even if it's not a Swaha moment. And you don't have to panic if it goes out. If it goes out, that's not a problem. So what we do is we simply dribble a bit more ghee on the fire, light a match, and go like that. Don't drop the match into the fire, but just go like that. And it usually catches.
so what I've done is I've lit this piece, and I've lit it outside of the pyramid. You don't light it above the pyramid because match pieces and all of that can go into the fire, which you don't want. So this piece is burning well now. I've turned it around a couple of times, and I'll put it in the middle of the stack. So that fire will just ignite. That piece in the middle will ignite the other pieces, and we don't have to wait until we get a good flaming fire, burning fire like we do with Agnihotra. As long as there's a fire present, that's sufficient for this Vyahruti Homa. And because we make several offerings of ghee into the fire on Swaha, you'll see that the fire will catch on more. So we'll sing this together.
You're going to do Vyahruti and then continue with Tryambakam.
Yeah, we could. Yeah. Okay.
Bhuva swaha agnaye idam namama. Bhuva swaha vayuve idam namama. Swaswaha sujaya idam namama. Bhuva swaswaha prajapataye idam namama. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamratat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamratat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamratat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamratat Swaha. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Om Tryambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Om Tryambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Om Tryambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Om Tryambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Om Tryambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Om Tryambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Om Tryambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Om Tryambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Om Tryambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrityo mukshiyamamritat swaha. Oh, what have I done? Oh, stop screen sharing. Oh, okay. Om Tryambakam yajamahe. Oh, but when you finish, you want to put the whole lot in. Okay. So on the last swaha, when you finished Om Tryambakam Homa, you pour all the remaining ghee in on the last swaha. And it's important to do the swaha after you say, to add the offering after you say swaha. Often we end up doing it right on swaha, sometimes even before swaha, but it's good to get into the habit you're adding the ghee after the swaha. It's the same with Agnihotra mantra. When you add the rice, it should be straight after the swaha. Normally we don't talk while the fire is going, but for the sake of efficiency for this Zoom session, we're going to talk. While we were doing Om Tryambakam Homa, I had the realization that what I would like to share also is that performing Agnihotra, sunrise, sunset, and performing Om Tryambakam Homa adds an extra field of protection, which may be very important for these times. Environmental protection, psychic protection, just simply because you are imbuing the atmosphere with heightened vibration. So this in itself is protective. So there have been many experiences around the world of people adding Om Tryambakam Homa when a disaster was looming or in the middle of a disaster. And that has greatly helped protect them. For example, a very dramatic example is Bhopal in India. I can't remember the year, but there was this massive spillage, cyanide gas poisoning took place over the city of Bhopal from Union Carbide. Actually, I think it was an Australian company. There was a industrial accident and cyanide gas poisoning went over the whole city. And thousands of people died and got maimed and injured And there were a few families who were Agnihotris who performed Agnihotra regularly. And when they were alerted to this disaster, they started up Om Tryambakam Homa in their homes, ongoing. And it added extra protection. And many of them, while their neighbors were going blind or dying, they were completely protected. So when there is more stress and pressure on the environment, it is good to add Om Tryambakam Homa even in the middle of a crisis or a disaster, because it adds this field of protection. Yeah, so I think that's an important thing to know, and you've got a great resource at your hands. All right.
Sometimes the question comes up, I do Agnihotra in my pyramid. Can I do Vyahruti and Om Tryambakam in the same pyramid? Yes, you can. So we'll do Agnihotra in the same pyramid here tonight, which is in about 15 minutes. If you want to be specific, and if you have a stationary setup at home, the Agnihotra vibration and energy is quite different from Vyahruti and Om Tryambakam and other homas we can perform. So this then you can have two pyramids set up. So you can have one for Agnihotra and its specific energy, sunrise and sunset, and you can use another pyramid for Vyahruti, Tryambakam, and perhaps other fires if you choose to perform these. So, but if you're on the road or you only have one pyramid, that's fine. You can just do all three of these fires in the same pyramid.
The thing to remember, though, is only the Agnihotra ash is medicinal. So the Vyahruti ash and the Om Tryambakam ash are not medicinal. Only the Agnihotra ash. We've got 14 minutes to Agnihotra, so we're going to set up and actually perform Agnihotra here tonight. But in the meantime, I think I'll go back to share screen, and I'll go back to the mantras. I just want to take you through some pronunciation tips. Okay, so we've got Vyahruti mantra here. Every letter needs to be pronounced. So when you see an H after a consonant like B, which is you don't normally see in English, still we need to pronounce that, and even the H at the end. So Bahu, like that, Bahu. And then when you see Swaha, you see the accent on top. That means that the A is a long, open ah sound, Swaha. But when you see Agnaye, that A does not have an accent on the top, so it is pronounced like a sound, as in the, Agnaye. Idam namama. So all the A's in Idam namama, they are Idam namama. So I'll say that first line. Buhu swaha agnaye idam namama. Now, the tune or the intonation is just as important as the pronunciation. There's always refinements that can be done to one's mantra practice. So if you go onto our website, and you'll find sound files where you can listen to them, and they're pronounced, the mantras are pronounced by our Agnihotra teacher Shree. So they're as they should be, rather than listening to a Westerner whose pathways between our brain and our palate are not quite Sanskrit pathways, but we do our best. So the second line, buva, buva. When you see a W, it's pronounced somewhere between a V and a W. Buva. Swaha. Vayawe idam na mama. Swa. So you aspirate the end. Swa. Because we're pronouncing the H. Swa. Swaha. Suryaya idam na mama. Then buhur. So you roll the R if you can. Buhur, buva, swa, swaha, prajapataye idam na mama. So it's only a very quick going through the mantras because that's all the only time we have. But just giving you some of those points that you do pronounce the H's, and the A with the accent is a wide open R, and an A without an accent is a sound. And you roll the R's if you can. And you aspirate when you see an H at the end of a word. Then Tryambakam mantra. So if we read it from an English perspective, we might say Tryambakam, but it's actually Tryambakam, So Try is a Tryambakam. Now, when we say the mantra, we actually drop the end, the kam, and we turn it into an I, a nasal I sound in order to join up with the yajamahe. So it goes like this. Om Tryambakai yajamahe. So it's a nasal I. Om Tryambakai yajamahe. Sugandhim pushtivadanam. Urvarukamiva bandhanan. Mrityor mukshiyamamratat. Swaha. Now, a difficult word that people often struggle with when they're learning this mantra is on the second line, the first word, uvarukamiva. But if you divide it into 3, uva, ruka, miva, then you be able to master it. Uva, ruka, miva. And then there's elongation of sounds and there's speeding up of sounds. So all of those are important. Uva, rukamiva. Uva, rukamiva. And again, you've got the open R sound with the accent, and then you've got the short Uva, ruka, miva, like that. Bandanan. So you see the accent on the bandanan. So you got bandha, which is short and then naan, like naan bread. Bandhanan, mrityor, mukshiyamam vratat, swaha. So I'll sing the mantra again. Om Tryambakai yajamahe. Sugandhim pushtivadhanam. So see that vadhanam and then bandhanan in the second line. They sound similar. There's 3 syllables, but with vadhanam you've got a short num on the end, and with bandhanan you've got a long an on the end. Om Tryambakai yajamahe. Sugandhim pushtivadhanam. Urvarukamiva bandhanan. Mrityor mukshiyamamratat. Swaha. Okay, I'll go back to the screen now, and we're going to perform Agnihotra. And then after the fire goes out, we'll open it up to Q&A and answer your questions. All right. So I'll hand it over to Fritz. He'll explain a little bit about Agnihotra practice.
Yeah, so we're using the same pyramid we use for Vyahruti and Tryambakam. And what I've done is I've build the fire. I've done that already by placing, same way as with Vyahruti, I placed 4 strips of cow dung across the corner so we get a good airflow. And with this Agnihotra you need to cover the bottom of the pyramid as well. With Vyahruti that's not necessary. So the reason is that when you make the offering of rice and ghee, that needs to land on cow dung. So if we drop it right in the middle, it should not land on copper. So with Vyahruti, there's only a ghee offering, there's no rice involved, there's no specific timing involved. We've got about 6 minutes to go, so I won't light yet, otherwise the fire will be gone before I can make the offering. If it happens, you know, if you light your fire and it's burning well and it starts to go down, you just add some more pieces of cow dung to it. You can keep doing that up until the time given on your timetable on the phone when you need to speak the mantra. As soon as the mantra is spoken and the offerings of rice and ghee are made, then you leave the fire to itself. You do not rearrange the pieces of cow dung or add more ghee to it, or you know, relight it. That's the thing with Agnihotra. Once the mantra is spoken and the offerings are made, your job is done. Our job is done. With the difference with Vyahruti or with especially on Tryambakam is when you do this offering of ghee into the fire on Swaha and the fire goes out, you can just relight it again. There's no problem. So there's some subtle differences there between these different homas. Homa means you know, the fires we perform. So again, I will light a starter piece. I've made it pointy and thin, so it will easily light. Make sure that your cow dung is really dry. If there's moisture in the atmosphere, like it's been a lot of rain here the last couple of weeks, that cow dung can be dry, but it absorbs the moisture from the atmosphere and it makes the burning more difficult. So store your cow dung dry in plastic bags. I'm trying to find the matches. So we've got about 3.5 minutes to go here.
The reason why you cannot disturb the fire after you say the mantra and make the offering with Agnihotra is due to that timing, because the timing is absolutely specific to when the first rays of the sun hit your property and the last rays of the sun depart. And the moment you say the mantra, there's a connection takes place between the pyramid and the sun, like an energetic connection. And if you bump the pyramid or relight it or rearrange it, you break that connection between the sun and the pyramid, which is attracting all that beautiful energy into and then sending it out into the atmosphere. But with Vyahruti Homa and Tryambakam Homa, they're not tied into a major biorhythmic event like sunrise and sunset. So you can reignite the fire if necessary. With Vyahruti, if you have to reignite the fire, then you need to start the whole process again. But with Tryambakam, you can, if it goes out, you can reignite it and continue.
So what I'm doing now, I've dropped this and made sure that the centerpiece, the lighter piece, was lit really well, and I keep turning it around, and once it is lit well, I drop it in the middle of the stack. And the trick is to keep that centerpiece alight by dribbling a bit of ghee on that piece. You want to keep the flame down under in the pyramid. You don't want the flame to creep up along that piece and then burn in the top, because your fire will go out. So we've got about 1.5 minutes to go. As you can see, these other pieces start to ignite well. and I've got some.
Is the rice, and the broken bits are removed because the rice needs to be viable, not broken and damaged.
So there's two offerings in the Agnihotra mantra at sunrise and at sunset. I add a little ghee to it, just enough to coat all these bits of grain of rice, and you just want 2 small pinches, be about 30 seconds away, so it still gives me time to add a little more ghee to it, as our carving has been exposed to a lot of moisture in the last couple of weeks, so if it's very dry period it would ignite a lot quicker. Agnaye Swaha Agnaye Idana Mama Prajapataye Swaha Prajapataye Idana Mama. So that concludes evening Agnihotra. And there's 2 healing aspects to Agnihotra. One is the primary healing is when the fire is alive, the flame is burning. So it's good to be close to the pyramid, and if other people are sitting with you, let them sit close to the pyramid. Ideally, we sit on square to the pyramid. It's not ideal to sit facing towards the point of a pyramid, as energy is radiated out from the square sides and from the 3 steps. And this pyramid has got 3 steps. There's no soldering or riveting. It has to be made out of one piece. And there's no rings or things like that attached. Of course, you can sit a lot longer than just a couple of minutes. We wait till the fire dies down. You can use it for meditation or healing by sitting for 10, 15, 20 minutes perhaps, whatever time you can spend with the fire when it's there, even when the flame has died down. The radiance is very strong, and it rearranges all the pranas in the atmosphere. So if I would leave this pyramid untouched, do not tap it or shake it or move it, then there's a secondary healing taking place, and the secondary healing lasts till the next fire, which will be sunrise. And then the same with sunrise. Once sunrise is performed, you leave that fire undisturbed. That will last till sunset. So you create like a cycle, like a biosphere. One cycle connects to the next cycle. If you start in a new place, then it's good to start with a sunset fire, as a sunset fire is sweeping, cleansing action, and that prepares the energetic pathway for sunrise to take place. So, shall we open up to questions?
Yes, I'll just go into the gallery view. Okay. Hello, everyone. Nice to see all your faces. Faces to the names. There's Alan Young, who we know very well. Hello. Nice to see you. Okay, well, if there's any questions, just unmute yourself. Put up your hand and then we'll indicate. Okay, Natalie, if you unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Fritz. Can you hear me okay?
Hard to hear you, but...
Oh, sorry, I've got a microphone here. I'll have to hold it. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. A couple of things. I have the copper cover from you. When can I use that? I do it outside. I'm just in a balcony. Should I put the copper cover on top at night if it rains, or if I think there's going to be rain, or when is it that for use, first of all?
Well, if you want a secondary healing of Agnihotra, so the primary healing is the moment you say the mantra. This secondary healing, as Fritz explained, is if you leave the pyramid untouched, then it remains connected to the sun, and there's a healing energy coming, emanating from that pyramid up till sunrise. So then what we suggest for covering is if you get a big terracotta pot and gently tip it upside down over the pyramid so you don't bump the sides, then you keep the secondary healing happening.
Okay, great. Thanks, that answers that. Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, and so the lid is for travelling? Is that really what it's for?
For travelling, but also, for example, what happened tonight, we were smoking out the house. And I would have sacrificed the secondary healing. If I had a lid, I would have just put the lid on top. You know, because the primary healing is the most important. It's a magnificent, vast, incredible healing that takes place. The secondary healing is minor, but you can make use of that, especially, for example, if you have a specified place for Agnihotra where you meditate, and or say you have a healing room and you do Agnihotra in the healing room. It's nice to have that secondary healing, that radiance coming off the pyramid the whole time, and then you can just go into that room or sit near the pyramid whenever you need to, or if a client.
Okay. Great. Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to use it with my clients. That was another question. Do you have the with the mantras? Do you have the swara that like the swaras, like the intonation, the 3 Vedic pitch?
Well, Homa Therapy is going out to the whole world, so it's been simplified, meaning the mantras are those 3 pitches. If we tried to teach that, we can't even learn it. We wouldn't have so much uptake of Agnihotra, and we need as much Agnihotra uptake as possible to heal our beleaguered planet. So it's simplified. So the intonation is all you need, not the 3 pitches. Yeah, and it's still extremely effective that way.
Fantastic. Is there a way of finding it if I want? I mean, I'm studying Sanskrit, so is there a way of finding it, or?
Let us ask our colleagues and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And the other thing, the final question is, if I'm doing Agnihotra and then I want to do the Vyahruti followed by Tryambakam, do I empty the ash? What happens? How do you make that one process? Do I empty the ash after the Agnihotra? pile on
well,
top, or
it would be better if you had an extra pyramid. That would be the
okay,
ideal. But if you don't, then you would just wait until Agnihotra flame goes out, and then you would empty the ash.
okay. And the ashes from the other fires can be used on the garden? It's still
Yes,
medicinal for the garden or healing for the
well, they're
garden?
not medicinal, but because they don't contain the prana, which is what is healing
Ah,
the land. But they have the properties of ash, which is good for the soil.
okay.
And they also have a heightened vibration. So it's more than just the properties of the ash. Yeah. But they don't
Great.
have
Thank you.
they don't have the pranic content.
Ah,
Okay.
thank you.
Our pleasure.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
There's Rakesh put a hand
Oh,
up.
Rakesh, yeah, could you unmute yourself and
Yes. Good afternoon, good evening. I am Rakesh Garg from Jaipur, India.
Oh, lovely. Hello.
And hello, how are you? You see, due to the network problem, I could not join since beginning. See, can I get the recording of this program and your Agnihotra program earlier
Yes,
Yeah.
so
yes.
that I can go through it? I have been performing Agnihotra for almost 2 years now here in Jaipur.
Can you?
And we are spreading here in India.
Wonderful.
We are spreading also. We are doing spreading Agnihotra, and I have connected more than 1,000 people during this last 2 years. New entrants to perform Agnihotra. So whatever information you can pass about the Agnihotra and the usage of the ash, so I would be grateful on my mail ID or
Just-
on my
just
WhatsApp.
email
I'll share
us.
the number.
Rakesh, email us
Pardon?
and ask for the recordings, and we'll send them to you.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
I'll do that.
Okay. Well,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions? We must be good teachers
Oh,
then.
yes, there's Helen. Helen from
Helen,
Hi,
yes.
Helen.
Helen.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah,
Good.
thanks.
I live in a really small place, and so I do the Agnihotra outside, and I've got like a little altar, but it's on the earth. And but I've kind of got to cover it because I've got mice and all these other things that happen at night, and especially mice at the moment. So that terracotta pot that you're talking about putting over, is that got a complete covering? So I'm just thinking of mice getting in.
Yeah, you'd
So
need
I
to plug up the
cover it
hole.
with the-
You'd need to plug up the hole.
Yeah,
The reason we mentioned
Yeah.
terracotta pot, it could be also a big copper pot, but
yes.
Glass.
or a glass or a ceramic, but it should not be other metals other than copper,
No,
and it should not be
Yeah.
plastic.
yeah,
So whatever you can find that's of a natural material that enables resonance to pass through, that's not insulating the energy, should
Yeah.
not be concrete, for example.
no. So you'd still get that secondary thing if you covered it with glass or
Yes,
something
because
else?
they don't insulate. They allow energy to pass through. It's only plastic
Okay,
and
oh, that's good to know.
metals and concrete that block it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're shocking at the moment, the mice, so
Right.
yeah.
It's good to know that it's a refined resonator. So you want it to be in a clean condition, rather than have
Yeah.
animals coming around and licking it, or
Yeah.
also you're using the
Yeah.
ash for medicinal purposes. So you need to be aware that as a resonator, we need to have a clean,
Yeah,
respectful kind of environment for it and conditions.
yeah, yeah. It's hard to stop them coming in though, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's
just
a
part
good
of the
idea to
environment
put
they're
a
there.
big container over the top
Yeah.
after the fire's gone
Yeah.
out, and
Yeah.
wait until the embers
Yeah.
are completely gone, because if you cover it while the embers are still there, they remain like charcoal. They don't become fine ash. So then you don't have your nice
Yeah.
fine powdery medicinal ash.
Does that mean waiting till it's
all
stopping
the
it till
embers
it's
go out,
red.
till it completely goes out and there's no
Yeah.
glowing
Yeah,
ember.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If mice have got in before, which has happened occasionally, I just tip that ash out. I don't use it for medicinal, but is the pot still okay?
I would put it under running water, really.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah, good.
and
I've just recently got a new. I've recently got a new one, so hopefully.
I would use
works.
a slurry of Agnihotra ash and water, and kind of just
Yeah.
stir it around the pyramid, because that will absorb anything, and then just rinse it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I've been covering it with the copper lid, but I'll look with the glass and see how that goes. And I recently got a new pot anyway.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, Natalie.
Sorry, I have another one. When I am doing it for medicinal uses with the shower and preparation before, sometimes I've noticed that I might have one grain, everything is charred except one grain maybe against the side of the pyramid. Is it still medicinal, or is that not a proper ritual?
I think you would still regard it as medicinal. It's more if there's a piece of cow dung that hasn't burned,
Okay.
you know, or if the rice in the middle of the pyramid hasn't turned into charred rice, then that would not be a successful Agnihotra. But like one grain on the lip or on the edge, I don't think that's going to take away from the medicinal aspect. It's more that all the ingredients are completely consumed, you know, by the fire. Then that is a successful Agnihotra.
Okay. Thank you.
So to elaborate a little bit on the healing aspect of the Agnihotra ash, if you want to create ash which is specifically for medicinal purposes, then there's a couple of things you can do to enhance the Agnihotra process, and it's very simple. So one thing is, you build the fire exactly the same as we did here tonight. You've got to be on the second with the mantra. So sometimes timing can be a bit delayed, or watch can be a bit late, you know, you'll be a couple of seconds out. But if you're more than 2 seconds out, then that ash is not really medicinal. So it's important to get the timing correct. Then another thing what you can do is you can take a shower, running water over yourself, and put on clean clothes. Agnihotra is very much an energetic tool. It works with subtle energies. So if you can cleanse yourself by having shower, put on clean clothes, and then perform the fire, then that also enhances the Agnihotra process, and therefore the healing power which is locked into the ash. So the ash becomes more medicinal. You know, some of the ash, we had some hard pieces in the ash before. That ash is still suitable for the garden, you know, in situations like that. So then, how long will this ash last? Is there a certain time limit, an expiry date, so to say? It's not. It will hold its potency indefinitely, but you need to protect it from the atmosphere. So put it in, if you have a copper vessel, fantastic. If you don't have a copper vessel, don't put it in another metal vessel other than copper. So don't put it in brass or stainless steel or anything like that. You can just put it in a glass jar or a ceramic bowl and put a lid on it so it's protected from the atmosphere. That's important. And then, you know, you can take some of that ash out, put it in a separate little jar, which you have for your daily use. You can take the ash dry, or you can mix it in with water. It's very potent to take the ash dry. Just eat it raw. It's got nothing to do with cow dung anymore. It's totally incinerated and imbued with all this powerful pranic energy. So you've got a panacea there. You've got a wonderful tool. You can basically create your own healing environment, and it's like a folk medicine, really.
There's another time that you, hang on, I'm just doing a chat, writing something, sorry. Yes, we'll send out a recording to everybody. Someone asked if we would send out a recording. Yes, we will to everybody on our email list. So you can go over it if you need to, especially if you need to refine your practice for Vyahruti or Tryambakam Homa. The reason we timed this Vyahruti Tryambakam Homa now is because we're, as an international Agnihotra community, we're about to launch into 9 days of as much Tryambakam Homa around the planet as possible. And we realized many people may not know how to perform Vyahruti or Tryambakam Homa. So this was one of the reasons we did this particular Zoom session. And it may be useful for others. You may have groups of people you've taught Agnihotra to who would like to participate or like to start up Tryambakam Homa as well. So please forward on the recording to them. And there's also that video that we showed you, which is available on our website, and you can refer people to that as well. But I think it's a wonderful initiative that we all do Tryambakam Homa to add love and peace and heightened vibration to the atmosphere over the Christmas holidays. And I do notice that often over Christmas there's a lot of there's often disasters for some strange reason over Christmas. And also at the moment with COVID and all the lockdowns and the new virus they're talking about, there's a lot of anxiety. So to help with that, the more people who do regular Agnihotra and Tryambakam Homa as well, on a daily basis, on a regular basis, but especially over this 9-day period, I think is going to be of a greater help than we could possibly imagine. So I do encourage you all to do Tryambakam over that period. I think we're starting on the 18th of December and going through...
In Australia we're starting on the 19th.
19th, okay. And going through for 9 days. And it doesn't mean you do continuous Tryambakam Homa. Many people are confused about that. It just means that if you want to do 1 hour a day, do 1 hour a day. But if you have a group of people, you could do it continuously. It's actually more effective. So if you have a group of people, that if you do a block, it's more effective than if you do like 1 hour here and 1 hour there and 1 hour there with a couple of hours in between. So if you have a group of people, doing a block is more effective. But also what people like, because they like camaraderie, they like to all sing the mantra together. But it's more important that you have continuous Tryambakam over several hours than 1 hour of everybody singing the mantra and doing Tryambakam together for camaraderie. So for the atmosphere, you're benefiting it much more if you do a block. So that means taking turns. So in our situation, there's 6 adults here on this property. So we take turns. And on full moons and no moons, if we do 3 hours each, a person comes in, I do 1 hour, and then Fritz does 1 hour, and then the other people come in and so on, then we get 18 hours of Tryambakam done that day pretty easily. And that's of greater benefit to the environment than a whole group of people singing Tryambakam Homa while one person performs it, say, for an hour.
So, you know, we have the tools at our fingertips. We have this Agnihotra fire, Agnihotra we can perform. You know, we can do this Vyahruti. The mantras are on the website, and then Tryambakam. But perhaps not everyone is interested in or feel comfortable performing this fire. So still invite these people, let them come and sit with you So let's say it is just Lee and me here, and there's other people interested. They're interested in healing, in balancing the environment, the atmosphere, and are in need of relief of stress and anxiety and things like that. Wonderful. Let them come and sit in with you if you feel comfortable to do so. And you can do it outside or you can do it inside. Do whatever works best for you. And then it is only those people who perform Agnihotra who really should attend the Tryambakam fire, meaning Lee performs Agnihotra, so she can do Tryambakam. If I would not be an Agnihotra practitioner, then she would just need to do it, because there's an energetic link there between the person who performs Agnihotra, even if this not regularly. Maybe I do it a couple of times a week still. I can do this Tryambakam fire, as compared to somebody who's never done Agnihotra and then starts to do the Vyahruti and Tryambakam. Energetically, that is not correct, you could say.
So for the environment, for example, if you do regular Agnihotra, then when you add another Homa, like Vyahruti or Tryambakam, Agnihotra atmosphere empowers those other Homas. So without Agnihotra, if you don't do Agnihotra but you just do Tryambakam Homa, you don't have the advantage of a clean background. So by performing Agnihotra, the atmosphere is purified and the pranas, the 7 layers of prana, are all in perfect balance. So here is a healthy atmosphere with the prana in balance. And then you perform Vyahruti or Tryambakam Homa and you add more heightened vibration and nutrition to that already healthy atmosphere. So that is how by performing Agnihotra regularly, it empowers and makes more effective the other Homas. This is what we're trying to explain. This is a key understanding in Homa therapy. Agnihotra is the pivotal practice, because it's the only one that can bring in the prana. Tryambakam Homa cannot do that, neither can Vyahruti. And it is the prana that we need to heal the planet, to neutralize the pollutants on all levels, etc.
Is there any other questions before we're going to wrap it up? Oh,
Yeah, Natalie, yes, go ahead. Yeah. Unmute yourself.
Oh, I was just writing.
Is it better to do? Oh, sorry.
I was just writing. Thank you. Good night. It's almost time for me to do Agnihotra, so I'm going to say goodbye. But thank you.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And Helen, you wanted to say something?
Helen.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, is it better to do Tryambakam before you do the Agnihotra, or after you do the Agnihotra? It doesn't really matter.
No.
Doesn't matter.
Either or is fine.
The other thing I want to mention is that if you've got a group of people, only the Agnihotra practitioner, says the mantra, and only the Agnihotra practitioner makes the offering into the fire. So in Havans in India, you will find everyone's offering into the fire at Swaha and everyone's singing the mantra. But with Agnihotra and Homa therapy, it's only the person that performs Agnihotra sings the Agnihotra mantra and makes the offering, and only one person can make the offering. With Tryambakam Homa, then you can have a group of people, only one person performs the Homa, but everyone can sing the mantra together. So that's the difference. So also, it's more important, say you have 5 people and they all have an Agnihotra kit. It's important, if they can, to all perform Agnihotra, even in the one area, because it magnifies the healing effect of Agnihotra untold. So it's not like, in Homa therapy, it's not like having a big kund will have a bigger effect. The kund has to be exactly the right size for this Agnihotra to be effective, as is given. But if you have 5 kuns, 5 people performing Agnihotra in one space, you have a magnified effect on the atmosphere. But if you're going to perform Om Tryambakam Homa, you don't have 5 people performing Om Tryambakam Homa. You have 1 person performing it and everybody singing if they wish. I hope that all makes sense, technically speaking.
There's Rakesh. Yeah. Well, is that answered your question, Helen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that
would
was
just
great.
like to know about
Thank
the.
you.
Oh, sorry, Rakesh. Is that you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, if you can just let me know about the Agnihotra ash capsule which is being used there. How, what are the benefits of it? How to take that? I want to start taking that.
Yes, it's important to take the Agnihotra ash as medicine because it protects us from getting sick. It helps our body to detoxify, and it's so important for these times because we're exposed to so many toxins. So you don't need to take it in a capsule. You can just take it as ash. So there's 2 ways you can take it. You can put a pinch of ash in your filtered water, or you can take it dry. And it's actually recommended that you do both. So throughout the day, when you're drinking a glass of water, put ash in there. Because the more ash, we need it all the time because we're exposed to pollution and toxicity in the air, in the water, in the food we eat, the EMF everywhere. So that ash is prana, takes it in, but it's also high consciousness. So it not only helps to detoxify our body, but it helps to raise our vibration. So it also, by taking the ash, affects our mind as well. But especially today, with all the toxicity that we also consume, you know, through non-organic food, etc., it's important that we take dry ash, especially first thing in the morning. So if you take a big spoonful, like a dessert spoon or a teaspoon of dry Agnihotra ash on an empty stomach, first thing in the morning, you put it in your mouth and you mix it with your saliva and swallow it, then it absorbs the toxins in your body and removes them as you expel it. So that's really important. Drink it in ash, drink it in water. As soon as you put it in filtered water, it alkalizes the water and it vitalizes the water. So your water becomes vital and alkaline. That's incredibly important. And then taking dry ash. So I would recommend first thing in the morning, at midday, and before you go to bed, a spoonful of ash. You'll find that in the morning you'll be spitting out some ash, but what will be coming out is also any toxicity in your mouth. It'll be coming out. It's a wonderful aid for health. People heal all kinds of problems with ash medicine.
There's another additional aspect of Agnihotra which is medicinal, and that is the smoke. So we light a fire, it's burning, and as soon as the mantra is spoken and the offerings are made of rice and ghee into the fire, that smoke becomes medicinal. It's very powerful. So let's say we have a sick person, when they breathe in that smoke goes straight into the bloodstream and starts to purify and heal from within. So the strongest energy flow is towards the east in a spiraling fashion. Even if the smoke goes to the west, don't worry about that. The energy, so place that person on the eastern side of the pyramid facing you. So you would have west behind you and I would be facing east, facing the person. They sit with their back toward the east and they absorb that energy created by Agnihotra. And then also when they breathe in the smoke, I mean, you don't have to stick your nose above the fire. Just whatever is created in the atmosphere, you breathe that in. That smoke is medicinal. Because sometimes people say, oh, I'm not going to breathe in that smoke because smoke is harmful. This is smoke which is actually not harmful. It's very medicinal.
So to give you some examples, Alan Young, who's present on this Zoom session, he teaches Agnihotra in Malaysia. has a Homa farm there. Initially, he had a house helper, and she was from Indonesia, and I believe, and she had TB, and the Malaysian government wanted to extradite her back to Indonesia. And Alan said, "Could you give me a few weeks? I'm sure we can help her." So he asked the lady to sit for Agnihotra fire, and it actually healed her TB, her tuberculosis, and she could stay in Malaysia. And also we have many friends who are asthmatic, who are Agnihotris, and normally an asthmatic would not go near smoke. But this smoke is medicinal. In fact, when it's measured, usually smoke, there's a lot of negative ions in the atmosphere, which tells you it's polluting. But with Agnihotra smoke, it's the reverse. There's a lot of negative ions in the atmosphere. It's actually healing. So people who have asthma regularly get healed by sitting for Agnihotra and breathing in the medicinal smoke.
But here in India, couple of people say that taking direct ash, like it has some lead content, so that might harm, like that is what is being told in India, that it is having a lead content into it. So taking direct ash, as you are telling, it harms to the body also.
Well, it's not the experience of thousands of people around the world. It's very healing. So all we can do is share the experience of people.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, what could take place is that sometimes people go into a healing detoxification. So initially, when people start taking ash for the first time, they could for example, get diarrhea, which is a cleansing of their intestinal tract, or they could get a cold, releasing stuff from the body. So if by taking ash medicine you find you are having elimination situations, which is a cleansing, you may like to cut down the amount of ash you take. That's the only thing the only thing I can think of where people would say it's negative, because it's a very positive thing to take the ash.
Okay. Just to give you a little idea of the potency of this Agnihotra ash. So in Vedas it is stated that when this Agnihotra is performed, it changes matter. Matter is the physical thing of my physical body, but it is also more subtle. It's our emotional energy, our mind. These are all aspects of matter, more refined forms. So it changes matter into an ideal state of matter. It means that it can change consciousness of matter itself just by the performance of this Agnihotra. Then we talk about this ash. So one of our colleagues, he's a scientist, they obtained some rice from Fukushima, that's radioactive. So that rice was taken and was tested in Europe for levels of radioactivity. So it was a laboratory setup. We divided that rice into 2 portions in 2 similar containers filled with clean water, added that rice to these containers, and then in one of these containers Agnihotra ash was added, and that was all was done. So the measurement was exactly the same, high level of radioactivity, unhealthy for anyone who's exposed to that. Then they would measure that daily. The first 3 days, the radiation levels remained the same. Then at the 4th day, the radiation level of that vessel which had Agnihotra ash started to become less and less. I can't remember the exact number of days, but I think it was 10 days, 12 days. The result was that where there was this rise in water, the radiation levels were exactly the same. Where Agnihotra ash was added, it was brought down to nearly 0. I mean, there's always some background radiation level, even in nature, you know, you can't cut it out completely, but really not harmful anymore, become harmless. So that's the power of this Agnihotra, which anyone can produce. Even the child can do Agnihotra as soon as they alone know the mantras and pronounce them and do this Agnihotra fire that has the same potency. So the wonderful thing is also that anyone can do it independent of our beliefs. You do not need to have particular beliefs, or you do not belong to a particular group, or you do not have to have a particular religion to be able to practice it. Anyone on the planet, male, female, can perform this fire and have the benefit and benefit its environment. So when I do it, my neighbor benefits. They might not be interested in Agnihotra, they still receive the benefit, because the effect of one Agnihotra fire is about 750 meters diameter and about 12 kilometers up. So it's like you create a cocoon. I'm not creating anything, but of course I make myself available to do Agnihotra, and then that benefit is there. Every time I perform it, that benefit is there. Lee and I have been doing it for about 30 years, every day, and it still blows our mind, as the saying goes, how wonderful Agnihotra is, how potent it is, and how quickly it shifts things in the environment into a positive manner. And we've seen and heard of so many healing stories. We could write books about it, and it's riveting. What's been given to us as humanity on the planet, and we can make use of that. It's, as you know, you could see tonight, it's a very simple practice. Basically, you can all get hold of the copper pyramid, cow dung, ghee, cow's ghee, of course, and rice. And the timing is very easily accessible through apps or websites, or so. It's basically at our fingertips.
Okay, well, I think we should finish here. It's now 8:30, but very grateful for your attendance, and we'll send off the recording, and please share it.
Lovely to see you all.
Yes. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Ellen. Good night.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night. Lovely. Lovely to meet you all.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good night.
Om Shree.